Welcome to TRACADEMY. In this video, we're going to see about the making of the Indian Constitution. M.N.Roy was the first person to put forward the idea of Constituent Assembly for India in 1934, which was supported by the Indian National Congress, officially demanding a Constituent Assembly to frame the Constitution of India. In 1938, the Indian National Congress declared that a Constituent Assembly should be elected on the basis of adult franchise, and it will be solely framing the Constitution of Free India without any outside interference. The demand was accepted by the British government through the August Offer of 1940 and appointed Sir Stafford Cripps, a member of the cabinet, to propose a constitution that to be adopted after World War II. The Muslim League rejected the proposal and they demanded a separate state and the constitution for them. This led to the arrival of the cabinet mission. They rejected the idea of the Muslim League but framed a scheme that more or less satisfied the Muslim League. Let's see about the composition of the Constituent Assembly. As per the schemes formulated by the Cabinet Mission Plan, the Constituent Assembly was constituted in November 1946. The features include the total strength of the Cabinet Assembly is to be 389, out of which the seats allocated for the British India was 296 and for princely states is 93. Out of 296 seats allotted to British India, 292 members should be drawn from the 11 governors provinces and 4 from the 4 chief commissioner provinces. Seats are allotted in proportion to the respective population, that is, 1 for every million population. 3 principal communities to decide about the seat allocation: the Muslim, Sikhs and the General. The representative for British India are to be selected or elected by the members of that particular community. For princely state, they has to be nominated by the heads of the respective states. So the Cabinet Assembly looked like partly elected and partly nominated body. Election was held in July and August of 1946 for the British provinces as the 93 princely states decided to stay away from the Constituent Assembly. The Indian National Congress won 208 seats and the Muslim League obtained around 73 seats. Small groups and independents got around 15 seats. It is to be noted that the election was not carried on the basis of adult franchise. The working of the Constituent Assembly. The first meeting after the election was held on December 9 of 1946. The Muslim League boycotted as they insisted on a separate state of Pakistan. So the total strength is only 211 members. Dr. Sachidananda Sinha was elected as the temporary president of the assembly. The process followed the French practice where an oldest person was nominated for the top notch. On 11th December 1946, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president and H.C. Mukherjee and Sir B.N.Rao as the vice president and the constitutional advisor. The objective resolution was moved by Jawaharlal Nehru on 13th December 1946. This laid down the fundamentals and the philosophy of the constitutional structure. The Assembly declares its firm and solemn resolve to proclaim India as an independent sovereign republic and to draw a constitution for her future governance. The Indian states will comprise the territories of British India and other parts of India which are willing to be constituted into the independent sovereign India. The Assembly will determine the boundaries of the said territories according to the law of the Constitution and will retain the status of autonomous units together with residuary powers. All power, authority of the sovereign independent India, its parts and organ of the government will be derived from the people, which shall guarantee and secure to all the people of India the justice of social, economic and political, equality of states of opportunity, freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, worship, occasion, association and action, subject to law and public morality. Adequate safeguards for minorities, backward and tribal areas, depressed and other backward classes. Maintain the integrity, the territory of Republic and its sovereign rights on land, sea and air according to justice and the law of civilized nations. This resolution was unanimously adopted by the Assembly on 22nd January 1947. The present preamble is the modified version of this objective resolution. Changes brought down by the Independence Act. Assembly became a fully sovereign body and it can frame any constitution as it needs, including the power to abrogate or alter any law made by the British Parliament in relation with India. The Assembly became legislative body, or to say it has two separate functions. One, as a constitutional body to frame the constitution. Two, as a legislative body to enact the laws. The day when Assembly met as constitutional body was headed by Dr. Rajendra Prasad and on legislative by G.V. Mavlankar. This continued till November 26th of 1949 when the making of the constitution reached its next stage, that is the enactment of the constitution. Other functions that are carried by the Constituent Assembly includes: it adopted the national flag on 22nd July 1947, it ratified the India's membership of the Commonwealth in May 1949, it adopted national anthem on 24 Jan 1950, it adopted national song on 24 Jan 1950, and Dr. Rajendra Prasad elected as the first President of Independent India on 24 January 1950. Let's see some of the committees which were formed by the Constituent Assembly. The major committees include the Union Powers and the Union Constitution and the States Committee, which was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. Provisional Constitution Committee and Advisory Committee was headed by Sardar Patel. The Drafting Committee was headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The Rules of Procedure Committee was headed by Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was also taking care of the Steering Committee. Some of the minor committees and the chairmen include functions of the Constituent Assembly Committee, which was headed by G.V. Mavlankar, Order of Business Committee by Dr. K.M. Munshi, House Committee by B. Pattabi Sitaramaiah, Ad hoc Committee for National Flag headed by Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Special Committee to examine the draft constitution, which was headed by Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, who was also in charge of the Credential Committee, Finance and Staff Committee by Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Ad hoc Committee on the Supreme Court was headed by S. Varadacharya. The Drafting Committee. Among the committees which were mentioned, the Drafting Committee plays a major role in the Constituent Assembly. The Drafting Committee was constituted on August 29, 1947. The members of the Drafting Committee include Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who is the chairman, followed by N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, Dr. K.M. Munshi, Syed Muhammad Sadullah, N. Madhava Rao, T.T. Krishnamachari, B.L. Mitter, who resigned due to illness, and D.P. Kaitan, who died in 1948. The first draft was published in February 1948. After 8 months of evaluation, the committee prepared the second draft and published it in October 1948. The committee took less than 6 months and sat only for 141 days. The enactment of the Constitution. The final draft was read by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on November 4, 1948. The Assembly had a general discussion on it for 5 days. The second reading started on November 15th of 1948 and ended on October 17th, and Dr. Ambedkar went through the clause by clause. Around 7,653 amendments were proposed, out of which 2,473 were actually discussed. The third reading was held on 14th November, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar moved a motion to pass the Constitution on the same day, and it was passed on 26th November 1949. Enforcement of the Constitution. The provisions pertaining to citizenship, elections, provisional, parliaments, temporary and transitional were enacted and enforced on the same day, that is 26 November 1949, whereas the rest, which forms the major part, was enforced on 26 January 1950, which we celebrate as the Republic Day. And there is a historical importance for this day, that is, it was on this day in 1930 that Purna Swaraj was celebrated following the resolution of the Lahore session of the Indian National Congress in 1929. Though the Constituent Assembly was able to frame the Constitution and put forth and enforced it, there were a lot of criticism on the Constituent Assembly. The critics have criticized the Constituent Assembly on various grounds. The Constituent Assembly was not a representative body. This is because it was not directly elected by the people of India on the basis of universal adult franchise, not a sovereign body, and this is because it was created by the proposal of the British government, and the assembly was held with the permission of the British government. And it's the third critique was it's time consuming, because the Constituent Assembly took almost 3 years in framing the Constitution, whereas the Constitution for the American Assembly was framed in a matter of 6 months. It was dominated by the Congress, absolutely, because the Indian National Congress completely hold the Assembly, as they were the predominant members in the Constituent Assembly. And Granville Austin, who is a British constitutional expert, remarked the same, and from his words, the Constituent Assembly was a one-party body in an essentially one-party country. The Assembly was the Congress, and the Congress was India. The fifth critic was that it was a lawyer-politician domination, as most of the members belonged to these two different domain, and there were no other section or there were no other member from other sections of the society. So this eventually made them to critique that it was a lawyer-politician domination, and the main reason for the bulkiness and the complicated language that is being used in the Constitution is one of the reasons that made them to critique the same. And the final critique was given that it was dominated by the Hindus. This was also given by Lord Viscount Simon, who called it a body of Hindus. Similarly, Winston Churchill also commented that the Constituent Assembly represented only one major community in India. So with this, we end the making of the Indian Constitution. Though there were critics on the Constituent Assembly, as well as there are n number of critics on the Constitution of the India itself, as it has been completely borrowed from the constitutions of the world that prevailed during that time. We'll be seeing the salient features of the Constitution, which gives the proof that the makers of the Constitution only referred the world's constitution, and they framed the Constitution of India as per the needs and the requirements that prevailed during that particular time. So we will be seeing about the salient features in our next video. Thank you.